Welcome back to the Estate of Minds, the only podcast where real estate meets reality and where bad puns about property are not only allowed but encouraged. If you came here for polished professionalism, you're in the wrong place today. But if you're after some cheeky banter and some insights with the sharpest minds in property, then stick around. And today we've got a guest you want in your corner when you're navigating the madness of real estate negotiations. And he's the kind of guy who can sniff out a good deal faster than a Labrador can sniff out bacon. So today joining us is none other than Chris McKnoulty, buyer's agent extraordinaire, founder of Lucid Property, an all-round straight good shooter. So when it comes to helping people secure their homes and their investment properties, you want this guy in your corner. So Chris, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
It's good to see you again, mate.
Always.
You're looking sharp, mate. You've got the blazer on today. I don't normally see you in a blazer. I'm used to seeing you kind of in shorts, surfboard, T-shirt.
That's much more the my regular style.
Just so you don't know, Chris enjoys the beach life, don't you?
I do.
And where are you at these days? Where are you living these days now?
I'm in between Brisbane and the Sunshine Coast, and in the water a lot on weekday mornings at the crack of dawn at the Sunshine Coast.
Well, what a beautiful place to wake up to every morning, hey?
Absolutely.
And tell me, how's the surfing going? Water a bit cold at the moment?
It's cold, but it's perfect.
Yeah. I hear that it's actually warmer inside the water than outside the water. Is that right?
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
So I wear a wetsuit that's like a short leg so
Right.
that the water is actually not that cold. But then I have like a long arm wetsuit that goes all the way to my wrist.
Lovely. Are you a peer in the wetsuit? Is that how it works?
No, I get
keep that warmth.
I get stage fright in the wetsuit. It feels weird, and they have that thing as well about they say that sharks are more attracted to people peeing in their wetsuits.
Is that right?
There's been a few examples of people in South Africa that peed in their wetsuits and got bitten by sharks.
There you go. Well, geez, that's scary, isn't it?
Tell me about it.
Hey, Chris, welcome to the Estate of Minds podcast. It's great to have you on. It's great to catch up with you again. And you're one of the smartest minds in real estate, and that's one of the reasons why you're here today. So I'd like to start back at the beginning. What made you jump into the crazy world of real estate as a buyer's agent now?
Yeah. Well, it was I accidentally ended up here. It was about 5 years ago.
Right.
And a mate of mine had a buyer's agency that was Sydney based, and it was actually at the start of COVID.
Okay.
And his person who ran the Brisbane office had left,
Right.
and he couldn't get up
Okay.
to actually do it,
Okay.
to run it. And so
Wow.
he said, "Hey, I need a favor. Can you come on and run it?" And I was like, I don't know how to do this. He's like, "Mate, this stuff's much easier than the other things that you've been doing.
Yeah.
So why don't you just, you'll be able to do it. You'll be fine." And
Yeah.
so I came in, and he was right.
Here you are.
It was much easier than what I was doing previously.
But you've been in property a long time, though.
About 20 years, a bit over.
Yeah. And it wasn't always as a buyer's agent. It was, tell us a little bit about that history.
Yeah. It's always been in property, and the space that I've been in is always one where it's about how can I guess, hack the system, find inefficiencies, and how can I systemize that in a way to take advantage of those inefficiencies for, my benefit, clients' benefits, whoever I'm working with at the time. And that's something that's stayed consistent throughout my whole career.
Was it more of a passion project or a purpose, or did you just get sick of dealing with real estate agents? Is that why you chose buyer's agency?
I just thought there was a really good opportunity there. I think generally speaking, this buyer's agency space is so fresh, it's so new, it's attracting a lot of, and there was an ABC News article about it, I think just yesterday, saying, it's bringing in a lot of people that, to say nicely, are underqualified, and because there's no real regulation.
We'll talk about that in this podcast today, because we're all about education here at Validum, as you know. But for those listening and those who are new, I suppose, give us the elevator pitch about what's the difference between what you do as a buyer's agent and what others in this space are doing, because you do stuff pretty uniquely.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. Thanks for that. I think a regular buyer's agent, when you look at them, you think, okay, I go to the buyer's agent, I say, "Hey, buyer's agent, I'm looking for a property. I want to buy a 3-bedroom house on X square meters of land in these types of areas. My budget's this. Can you go off and find it?
Right.
We don't do that. So if anyone came to us and said that was their brief, we would send them off somewhere else. For me, it's about, rather than going, well, what do you want? Let's try and buy it. For me, it's about identifying, well, what are the best possible property investment opportunities that are around there, and having the attitude of, well, here are the properties, who wants them?
So I was right about the you're like a Labrador sniffing out bacon, really, aren't you?
Yeah, like we are a research and analysis machine rather than a buyer's agency.
Right.
Like,
Okay. Well,
yeah,
that gives it a unique identity, though, too, doesn't it?
definitely.
I mean, when you see buyers losing their heads at options and their wildest bidding wars, you've probably witnessed. What's your view on that? Well, how are you finding that market at the moment?
It's frothy.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of buyers out there.
Frothy.
A lot of fear of missing out.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's leading to some people just, I guess, to secure something, paying more than what they deem is a fair price or just whatever, to be like, great, I just want something, I want to get it done.
Yep.
But there's also the buyer's agents that are looking for a fee and don't necessarily understand how to value property correctly, and then say to their client, yep, this is a good one, buy it.
You're right. Because look, I've always identified a buyer's agent as being someone that's going to give me a bit of cream in the pie.
Definitely.
I'm looking for that bit of bargain. I look at that as an opportunity, investment opportunities usually. Is that what you're finding a lot of people are approaching you for, that investment opportunity?
Always, yeah. We don't really do a lot of owner-occupier stuff. The owner-occupier stuff we do is where someone is buying a house as an investment, but also, living in it, the tax benefits and all of that, or legally doing those, using those schemes. Yeah.
And, obviously, you need to be able to spot a hidden gem in the market. It feels more like, picking over the bargain bin in Kmart sometimes for some people. Do you find that? Do you enjoy that kind of concept?
Oh yeah. That's exactly what we do.
That's what gets you up in the morning?
Well, it's the whole sort of premise of the business.
Yep.
It's, I see the other day there was someone running an ad, one of the big property investment groups, and they were like, we reject 92% of the properties that we look at. And I was like, does that mean you buy and you like 8% of them? I'm like, oh my God, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
you did a LinkedIn post on that, didn't you?
I
saw your LinkedIn post on that.
I was just shocked. And I was like, you're advertising that as a good thing.
Yep.
And I'm like, and I said to the guys in the office that work for me, I'm like, we were looking at that and I go, what do you think we would be? And they're like, oh, maybe 1 in 1,000, something like that.
Wow, okay.
And you go, all right, so yeah, many multiples more detailed.
You're hinting to me that a lot of buyers agents aren't well educated in the property sector. What sets you apart?
No, they're not. Well, yeah, I have a property economics degree. I have 20 years experience working in it. I have a graduate's degree in applied finance and investments. And yeah, I've been around.
And you know how to value property as well.
I know how to value property. Yes.
And that's a unique entity in itself, because as you know, we teach our agents as sales agents to not value property. Appraise property, yes, but we're not qualified to value property. There's a big difference, isn't there?
Majorly big difference. And the thing with a sales agent, which you said, is they're appraising it. And so if a sales agent is wrong, the market will generally take care of it.
Yes.
And enough competition will naturally happen and they'll get a fair price. Whereas if a buyer's agent values it incorrectly and values it $50,000 to $100,000 above what the real value is, the market will not save them. The market will very gladly accept their overinflated offer.
Yes.
And their client will probably think they've done well, and only to, they may never realize that they overpaid.
That brings me to the next question, actually, because buying property is quite emotional.
Oh, yeah.
How do you often play that part-time therapist with your clients? I suppose you need to play these days. And buyers agents are kind of adopting that kind of mentality a bit more, isn't it? It's strategy, it's therapy.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't buy into any conversation about, but the laundry is not really in the right location. I say, okay,
And the color of the kitchen's not quite right.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
all that kind of things.
Exactly. Oh, is someone going to want to live in this?
Yeah.
Yes, they
So you're
will.
all about the stats, aren't you?
It's all about the numbers.
Yeah.
And not getting it. I don't get at all emotional about it. I think when a property comes in and we look at it, we get very clear on what that property is worth, what the range of that would be, and why. And then I guess we stick to it. If it stays within that range or is under, fantastic, we're on it. But then the second it gets above that, it's like, okay, great, no problem, on to the next.
Do you think the client really gets a good deal with you because they're not just getting a buyer's agent, they're getting education as well, aren't they?
They are. I'd say that if I'm really honest, they're getting some education, but the stuff we do behind the scenes, no one really sees that.
Yeah, right.
They get the benefit of it,
yes,
but they're not sort of sitting side saddle with us.
They're not inquisitive about it.
Well,
How did you reach this point?
They are, and we explain that. We'll say, oh, it's worth this. Look at these comparable sales. Look at this and this and this, and then there's this value upside in the property. You can do this to it. That makes it worth this, and they're interested in it. Yes, but I guess when it comes to the education, I guess they do leave it. They realize that there is a better way to do this rather than a basic buy, hold, and hope boring property strategy. There's actually ways to manufacture value by buying a regular house.
Do you think that I suppose with that education, I suppose you see a lot of people make big mistakes, and keep on making those mistakes. What's some of the biggest mistakes you're seeing in this market at the moment?
One of the big ones I'm seeing at the moment is someone looking at a property that's got development potential and saying, oh, well, it's got development potential, therefore it's worth more. It might be, but they're looking at it with the same eye as like seeing it as a feature of the property, as in like going, oh, it's got a pool, it's got a view, it's got air conditioning in the bedrooms, and it's got development potential. It's like, okay, the first three, those are features of the property, but the development potential is like, no, that's not a feature. That is something that is to be analyzed and reviewed to determine what the actual underlying value of the property is worth. And it may be worth nothing. Like, right now we're in a 4-story office building.
Right.
Technically you could knock this down and build a 2-story shed warehouse on it, but you wouldn't. So technically this property does have development potential, but it'd have to be, this is an extreme example of ridiculousness. Like no one would ever think of that.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
It's true. And then overpaying for it because, oh, well, it's worth more.
Do you think that that's being thrown around quite loosely, development potential and so forth, as opposed to, building costs now are extremely high.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of challenges around the building industry with developers and builders going under quite frequently.
Definitely.
There's risk there, isn't there?
Huge amounts if you don't understand it. And so I come from that property development background. And so when we look at a property, we're doing a hypothetical development on everything, even if it's just an underlying, just for the underlying value of the property, when the client's not necessarily planning to develop it. We're doing a full feasibility of, well, what's this thing really worth?
Yes.
Whereas if you are, Johnny buyer's agent who was a personal trainer 18 months ago, and you go, oh, development potential, great. Well, hey, blocks of land are worth this much, and doing a subdivision is going to cost this much, and it's like, well, no, or the numbers that you've put in are wrong, and then you're starting from a place where your assumptions are incorrect. I have this saying, as is the I love is as is the seed, so is the fruit. And so if the seed of the deal is rotten and it comes from poor assumptions, then it's like, well, it's going to grow pretty rotten fruit.
Absolutely. You seem to be the type of guy that likes putting the deals together rather than presenting the deal and saying, here it is in a nice pretty bow.
Yeah.
Am I okay to say and clarify to everyone out there that you do like the analytics behind it? You do like kind of like putting it together, don't you?
Oh yeah, like that's fun for me. Like that point that gets me every day is where, oh, this is a deal. Like one of my analysts in the office will say to me, hey, look at this one. I've got this. They want this for it, but I think this and this and this. So therefore, here's the outcome. And I just go, I get a surge of energy in my body, and I, just go, great, bloody go buy it. Just stop talking to me, and just go buy it, and we'll figure out who gets it afterwards.
Do you ever get those clients that say, look, Chris, here's $5 million, go and find me a deal?
Absolutely, probably not quite that amount, but yeah, there's definitely clients that heaps of them. That's what our clients do. They come to us and they say, hey, I've got this amount to invest. What should I do?
Yep.
And we say we should do this. this is why. And they go, that makes a lot of sense. I will do that.
So you're more of a property investment strategist
Yeah.
or strategist.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's much more as the strategy and advisory rather
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
the role of saving somebody time to
Mm.
go and buy a property. I think,
That puts a lot of strings into your bow too, doesn't it? Then you
Yeah.
can add a lot more value that way too. So
Well, yeah, it's actually only adding value.
mm.
I think as a buyer's agent, if your biggest value proposition is we're saving busy professionals time, it's like that business isn't going to last very long.
Very true, very true. So going back to some questions about the industry, because obviously we do get a lot of viewership here and a lot of alumni, past students who are maybe looking at a career as a buyer's agent, and it's becoming a lot more popular. Let's be absolutely honest out there now. I'm getting equally as people, looking at getting into sales or becoming an agent, and also working for buyers as well, buyers advocacy, buyers agents, whatever you
That's
call
really
yourself.
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there are a lot more people asking the question now. And I think that a lot more people now realize that, and I don't know if you know this, but you actually have to have a full real estate license to be a buyer's agent. You don't have to have a full real estate agent license to be a sales agent. So the education is higher. You need to have the full certificate for in real estate practice to be a buyer's agent.
Yes.
So the education is changing. That has developed.
Good.
And now we're bringing CPD into the industry as well as compulsory mandatory. So there is an evolution happening with education. I know you've got a lot of thoughts on the education process out there. Tell us what you'd like to see added.
I think there should be a stupid amount of, compared with what there is now, a lot more requirements of what someone who's a buyer's agent should have. I think just having like this real, full cert for real estate license thing is grossly inadequate. Like all the guys that work for me either have a full property economics degree or they're working towards it. And I think that, there's so much on the line here. Like some people's the most important financial decision of their life is being left to a buyer's agent. And they find out that this person's done a little bit of learning about real estate and then have a good marketers and said that, yep, I'm a property expert, say all the right thing. Like that's terrifying to me. Imagine you won't go down to Wall Street and you go, what should I do with all this money that I've made? And then you find out that it's someone who was a personal trainer 18 months ago, doesn't know anything about finance. It just wouldn't happen. Yeah.
But there are a lot of people in another world that maybe have bought and sold property too. A lot of people entering in the industry aren't just 18 years old and have just finished school.
True.
A lot of them have lived and worked in the industry in various capacities and also haven't been investors themselves and so forth. Do you think what makes a really good property or a buyer's agent? Do you need to be an investor, you think, yourself?
I don't think you need to be an investor yourself. I think it helps. I think that there needs to be an analytical way of thinking because I think the core of a buyer's agent's role is actually valuation and understanding it. And I think that everything comes from that.
Yeah.
If as a buyer's agent, all you're doing is being excellent at valuing property and being able to say to your client, this one's under market, this one's about right, this one's over market value, you're ahead of 70%, 80% of them.
Where do you see the role of buyer's agents heading in the next 5 years? Because it's going to be a very, very big deal here in Queensland. And they're becoming a little bit more prolific. A lot more people are getting into the industry. Where do you see it going?
I think it'll be really interesting in the next 5 years. The property market has been going strong for so long, and we've had this issue of lack of supply, and which has led to difficulties in buying property, which has created the environment for the buyer's agency industry to thrive. I wonder what happens if that shifts. I wonder what happens is inevitably we will get to a point where it's a seller's market again.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And surely there'll be a point where it's very much a seller's market and buyers have all the upper hand. Is there a need for the number of buyer's agents then? I don't know. That's the part for me that I'm like fascinated by. I'm really interested to see what happens then.
So you're saying it is a buyer's market at the moment, do you think?
Sorry, I think I mixed my things up. When I said yes, what I meant was, when it becomes a buyer's market, because it's very much a seller's market at
Yeah,
the moment.
yeah.
It has been a seller's market for a very long time.
Yeah, it
But if it
has.
becomes a buyer's market again, like I think back to the times of 2009, 2010, it was so hard.
Yeah, exactly.
As a buyer, you had all the hands, you had all the control in the negotiation. And I just think it'll be really interesting to see what happens when that shifts.
Speaking of negotiation, you're hearing a lot about AI now
Uh-huh.
and going on. Is AI going to steal your job, or is it just going to make you look even smarter, do you think?
I think it just makes you look smarter, because for me, the one thing I've noticed about AI is it's what you feed into it and the assumptions that you have, the knowledge that you have, makes the big difference. Like I remember when ChatGPT first kind of became a thing, and one of the young guys working for me is about 22. I think he was 22 at the time. Said, "Oh well, this can just write out our emails." And I was like, "Okay, let's." And we had a bit of a competition of a friendly one of you get it to write an email about this topic, and I'll do it too. And so he did his and I did mine. And then we compared the two. And I was like, well, which one's better? And he's like, oh, yours is a lot better than mine. And I said, well, why do you think that is?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I don't know. He goes, well, let me read it. What did you say to the, what was your prompt? And he looked at my prompt and he goes, okay, that's why.
Right.
And there was just a lot, there was 18 years more of experience in there. So naturally, the nuances of my understanding of it, I was able to prompt in a way that resulted in a better outcome than he was, as you'd expect.
Yeah, well, that's what AI is about. It's about the prompts, right?
Yeah.
And if you can add value by adding those prompts, of course you're going to have an advantage. So you use AI as a tool?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
And tell me, what's the best advice you'd give someone looking to buy right now, do you think?
The best advice someone looking to buy right now. I guess I would say come and talk to me. But outside of that, as something that someone can just take away.
We'll make sure that we put your details in the comments below so you can contact you. So don't rest assured. We'll get you a few clients here. So.
I think when everyone's zigging, zag. So, don't follow the crowd. Don't, look for things that aren't so popular, that don't make that aren't as hot. That would probably be my biggest one.
So what's the worst advice you've heard floating around the barbecue at the moment?
I heard a really funny one the other day. I actually did a LinkedIn post only a couple of days ago about it. And a buyer's agent did this podcast, and he said, oh, we were looking at this property for a client, and we saw that there was 39% of the properties in that suburb were housing commission. So we immediately discounted it and said no. And I went, hang on. Like, I understand the thinking behind that, like a bit, but the main assumption there must be, if there's a high amount of housing commission, you cannot invest in that area. And I said, that's an interesting rule. No one ever taught me that. No one ever. And this is, typical sort of a few years in sort of guy. And it sounds smart to be like, oh, you can't buy there because of this housing commission. And then the guy in my office had bought a property in a suburb where there was, in his street, there was 18 houses in his street, 5 of which were housing commission.
Okay.
But he paid $600,000 for this house that was probably worth $700,000.
Wow.
And there's all this upside to do a little project on it and whatever. And we go, well, do you really think that would have been best to go, oh, well, there's too many housing commission, you can't do that deal? No, it's value. Look for value. Don't look for the main metrics
absolutely.
of what seems safe, because like this housing commission thing, it's ridiculous, because the idea is, oh, well, housing commission areas mustn't grow in value. And you go, well, if not, well, why aren't the houses still $50,000?
A lot of people don't realize, I mean, I know the market. I did a lot of property, lived in West End, did a lot of property around West End as an agent as well. And there's a lot of housing commission in West End.
Yeah.
Yet look at West End as a suburb, right?
Absolutely.
And there were some great bargains you could have gotten when that housing commission changed. And if you had a bit of developer knack and you could use a paintbrush, you could do a lot of damage,
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
So how do you know you've made it in real estate? Do you kind of ever know? And I suppose the question here is, what gets you up in the morning?
I guess whether you've made it, I don't know. I think that's
When do you know? When do you kind of feel like, you're getting to that point now? You've been in the industry 20 odd years. You run a very successful buyers agency group. You've got people working around you now. What's going to kind of be the tick now that says, I've done what I want to do?
I think for me, it's about personal mastery
Mm.
of when I feel I get to such a level of understanding and
Yep.
knowledge that I'm able to see things so clearly and kind of predict the future a little bit. Like there's a couple of other businesses I've got going at the moment in the building phase that I look at and I think, wow, if I can pull this off
Yep.
and do these, then that's actually really showing my personal level of mastery because it's very much a that's the ball's not there yet, but that's where the ball's going to be.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like setting up these businesses that are getting ready for those shifts that are going to happen.
Those
And I
next
look at it
phases,
and I go,
yeah.
there's no way this shift doesn't happen.
Mm.
And so, yeah, that for me is probably my personal metric of how do I know I've made it? My own level of mastery.
I did have an agenda with that question because I've spoken to quite a lot of agents in my age group, in our age group, that have been in the industry over 20 plus years. And they're saying, COVID was a unique kind of experience for everybody, right? Never seen anything like it. But now they're saying the next several years in Queensland and in Brisbane are going to be some of the uniquest times that we've ever seen. Do you follow suit with that?
Yeah, I think definitely in a unique time because we've had unprecedented amounts of growth.
Yes.
A lot of signs pointing to continued growth, housing affordability at all-time lows, inequality at all-time highs, plenty of people on the sidelines as investors with money going, I've got to park my money somewhere.
Yeah. You're getting me excited here, Chris.
I think it's really interesting. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be a heck of a ride over the next several years. And there's a lot of good news stories out there at the moment. We're hearing, the Olympics, a lot of infrastructure. And you only need to look outside at the moment and see the cranes around, and there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of cranes
around. There's a lot of building going on. One of the things that I love to talk about, and I'm personally interested, is because real estate's quite a challenging and a unique career, and to be in it so long and to be in it for 20 years, it can be a mental health challenge for a lot of people. So, how do you get your head right in this space? What do you do to get your head right? And how have you lasted this long without going crazy?
I've had a lot of career breaks. I haven't just had 20 years straight.
Yep.
I've had significant periods of just clearing my head and going away for a year or 6 months or something like that. I've been very fortunate. But I think the number one thing for me is just trying not to ride the roller coaster.
It is a roller coaster.
Well,
there's no doubt
like
about
the roller coaster.
There's a lot of highs and lows,
Majorly. Like yesterday, we thought we were, staring down the barrel of 2 deals in the day and, doing 60 grand worth of commissions or so. And then out of nowhere, they both just got slammed and just disappeared on us.
Wow.
And so I was at the high of, look at how much money we're going to make to what the hell happened?
Yeah.
And that wasn't a lot of fun.
And that's daunting for someone new in the industry that's relying on that, because we rely on that. That's our income. That's our commission. That's our livelihood right there, right?
Absolutely.
So it can be quite scary. And that's where I suppose, I'd like to talk a little bit about, if you're new to the industry, what would you recommend? I mean, would you recommend becoming a buyer's agent from dot, or would you recommend going and working in an agency for a little while and then maybe evolving to a buyer's agent?
Definitely find a smart person that you can work with, learn from. And because there's a big, you don't know what you don't know. And I think finding a person who can be a mentor, a paid mentor, to be working for them and helping them out, I think is the best way to do it. Like the young guy that works for me has for 4 years has multiple times said, well, I did my property economics degree and I've learnt 5 times the amount in the job than I did at uni.
There you go. Yeah.
And so I go, okay, that's another, talk about metric of success. I look at that and go, oh, wow, he's actually really learning.
Yeah.
And to see how smart he is.
That's fantastic.
Now. Yeah.
And that's priceless knowledge too, And that's what I love about what I do here at the Institute, because obviously, we tap into the experience that we've got as agents, buyers agents, whatever that might be. But being able to educate somebody and being part of their success as well is hugely rewarding, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, we're working towards now, some sort of like evolution in the business of people taking on more responsibility,
Absolutely.
working towards equity.
Yeah.
And that to me is great because it's like, cool, if I can set up a business and then get good people in to run it and then pay them more than they could make anywhere else by getting an equity share in it, because now they've learned how to do it and they're better than anybody at the technical skills there. And then I can then take, with the time that's being saved and go off and put it on different projects. Like that's the dream for me. I love that sort of stuff.
And you talk about finding a mentor, but education's important, isn't it, really, as well? So would you, if you were getting into real estate, would you just say, I say to people, just because you've got your certificate 4 and your full license doesn't mean your education stops. I think it only just begins. You know what I mean? This is kind of like the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. You've got to continually educate yourself and keep updated and keep informed, don't you?
Oh, 100%. And that's why I love what you guys are doing here. And it seems that at Validum that the quality of the training that somebody is getting, and yeah, I've seen it. It's significantly better. You've told me about how it works. I've seen it in action here.
Yeah.
And I'm genuinely impressed.
Well, these podcasts become part of our curriculum too.
Yeah.
We add these in, because obviously you can teach theory.
Yeah.
But to hear it practically coming from people that have been immersed in the industry, experiencing it, and can probably tap in and contact you as well. And that's something that, that we love about this educational process. It's not just about a curriculum. It really is it's a life growth. And I say this a lot to people. If I could teach real estate in schools, I definitely would, because it's something you're going to be a landlord maybe at some point. You're going to be a tenant maybe at some point. Some of this information's invaluable, I think, personally. But look,
100%.
Real estate's changed, and you've seen it evolve over 20 years. Where do you think it's going? AI, we know, is evolving, right? And that's becoming a tool. But where do you see it going? Do you think that we're going to be making ourselves a bit more redundant or hands-on, or are people going to miss meeting people, talking face-to-face?
I think one of the things that I see that's going to change in real estate is I think there's going to be a greater gap between the top people and the lower people. And I think that because of all the tools, AI, I think what that will do is the people that have got it and have got that mastery over those things, it will give them a greater advantage and it will just expand the advantage they've already got.
Yeah.
Whereas the people that are struggling, I think it'll give people a chance to get their foot in the door and get ahead.
Yep.
But ultimately, the expectation of the bar, the minimum of being good will be raised so much higher that it'll be even harder to get to that point. Like I look at some of the stuff that I'm looking at for in the next couple of years for business, and I think, wow, that's really raising the bar, like to the point where I'm challenged of, can I actually do that?
Yeah. Isn't that exciting though, as well, though?
Oh, it's so exciting.
That you can be in the industry like this for 20 years and still be learning, still be stretching that bar.
Yeah.
I love that about our industry.
Yeah, I love that. And that's going back to what gets me up in the morning.
Yeah.
Is I love that idea of setting a bar really high and then continually doing it. And I want to move what I'm doing in more of, I want to tell people what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and then go to the next stage of my evolution of understanding, and it sort of challenges myself. Like that's really fun.
It is. It's exciting. It's very exciting. Chris, that was absolute gold. You've given our listeners an inside scoop into what the buyer's agency game is all about, from spotting value to dodgy property nightmares. And the key takeaways, I suppose, is don't go into a property negotiation alone. You really need to bring, not a butter knife to the fight, but really a sword. And you've got one of those in Chris McKnoulty here from Lucid. And look, Chris, thank you for joining us today. We've loved the stories, we've loved the insights and the brutal honesty. And if you want to connect with Chris, ladies and gentlemen, and learn more about what he does and maybe even land your next property, then check out Lucid Property. And we'll drop the links in the show notes below. And, of course, don't forget to follow us on the Estate of Minds podcast and wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, etc. And if you liked today's episode, please leave your feedback, give us a review, or preferably a glowing one, and share it with your mates in real estate. So that's it for us today. Catch you next time. Chris, thanks again, buddy.
Thanks for having me.